Have you ever been in a room with someone who says they love you, but you feel more alone than ever? Because the silence between you isn't peaceful, it's piercing. He's on the couch. You're in the kitchen. Same house, different planets. The TV hums in the background, but it's his silence that's the loudest sound in the room. And somehow, that silence feels heavier than yelling, colder than distance. Because once upon a time, you two laughed at nothing. Now, you don't even look at each other. And that's what makes it hurt more. It's not the absence of words. It's the absence of effort. The absence of curiosity. The absence of presence. They say love speaks. But what if it stops speaking and just starts staying? Is that still love? Or is that just habit dressed in the costume of affection? This isn't about screaming matches or dramatic exits. It's about the quiet war in your chest. The feeling of sitting next to someone who swears they love you, but you're grieving them while they're still alive. And yet, you're still in the same room, still sharing the same bed, still hearing her say, "I love you." But something's missing, isn't it? Not in the way she moves or talks or smiles in front of friends, but in the way she no longer looks at you like she used to. There's no warmth in her eyes, just a quiet storm she's too tired to name. And when you ask if she's okay, she says, "I'm fine." But you can feel it. That cold kind of fine that makes a man question everything he thought he knew. You remember the way she used to light up when you walked into the room. How her laughter came easy. How your name meant something tender. Now, it feels like you're just there, like a ghost in your own marriage. What changed? When did her love start feeling like silence? And why does it hurt more than if she yelled, screamed, or slammed a door? You start asking questions quietly when no one's around. Did I miss something? Did I stop showing up in ways that mattered? When did I start confusing her endurance for happiness? There's a woman in your house who once trusted you with her softest voice. Now she folds into herself more each day. And here's the truth no one tells you. Silence doesn't come from nowhere. It's built layer by layer. Every time she wasn't heard. Every time she smiled through her own unmet needs. Every time she begged with her presence and got neglect in return. She loved you, maybe still does, but love without safety becomes performance. And a woman who performs too long eventually forgets the sound of her real voice. Who is she now? And more haunting, who are you to her now? This isn't about blame. It's about awareness. It's about finally hearing the silence she's been drowning in. Because sometimes when a woman stops talking, it's not that she's fine. It's that she gave up trying to be understood. And in that quiet, she's mourning the parts of herself she lost while waiting for you to see her. But brother, this doesn't have to be the end. Because silence is not final. It's a signal. And you still have a choice. You didn't notice it at first. The small things. The way she stopped reaching for your hand in public. The way she flinched just slightly when you spoke too fast, too flat, too distracted. You brushed it off, told yourself she's just tired. But now, her silence is no longer occasional. It's her new language. And you're left translating a love that no longer speaks. She's still here, physically. She still cooks, still asks if you've eaten, still tells the kids goodnight. But emotionally, she's on another shore, waving faintly while you stand helpless on yours. And here's what most men don't realize until it's too late. Emotional shutdown doesn't happen all at once. It's slow. So slow it feels like nothing at first. Until one day, you look at her and realize you haven't really seen her in months. Not the real her. Not the woman who once danced in the kitchen to old songs. Not the woman who once told you her secrets like sacred things. Now, her eyes look tired in a way sleep can't fix. And it makes you wonder, was I part of her exhaustion? Have you ever felt like a stranger in your own home? Like the man you used to be is slowly fading in the reflection of a retreat? You start second-guessing everything. Is this how love ends? Did I love her the way she needed? Who am I if I wasn't enough to keep her open? Brother, this isn't weakness. This is awareness waking up inside you. And that's where healing begins. Because a woman doesn't close her heart overnight. She slowly folds it away, piece by piece, each time she felt unheard, unseen, unloved. You didn't mean to hurt her. But love isn't measured by intention, it's measured by presence. And now, she's drowning in a sea of unsaid words. A silent current you didn't know she was swimming against alone. But let me ask you something. When did you last ask her about her day and actually listen? When did you last touch her just to say, I see you? When did you stop being the safe place and start becoming the storm? You're not alone in this. You're not broken. You're just a man waking up to the truth that love isn't lost. It's just buried beneath years of missed moments. And there's still time to unbury it if you're willing to show up differently. Brother, have you noticed how quiet she's become lately? Not just the kind of quiet where someone's thinking, but the kind of silence that hurts more than words ever could. You sit beside her, but it's like her presence is fading. Like you can see her body, but not her spirit. She still cooks. She still folds your clothes. She still says goodnight sometimes. But where did her eyes go? Where did her warmth go? You hear her laugh, just not with you. You see her speak, just not to you. And deep down, you know it's not because she lost the ability to connect. It's because she's slowly losing the energy to keep trying. She's not just quiet. She's starving for connection. And you used to feed that part of her, didn't you? Remember how she used to light up when you walked in a room? Now she barely looks up. And maybe you've been telling yourself you're just tired, that you're handling so much. But she is too. She just hides it better. Let me tell you something you might have been avoiding. It's not that you can't give attention. It's that somewhere along the line, she stopped being the one you gave it to. You laugh with your friends. You scroll your phone. You escape to silence. And she's left carrying the noise. Have you ever thought about how loud your absence feels? When she speaks and you barely respond. When she shares and you shut down. She starts to question if her words are even worth saying. And what happens when a woman starts to feel unheard? She doesn't yell. She retreats. That silence? It's not peace. It's pain. It's her last attempt at holding it together. And while you're wondering what's changed in her, she's been silently wondering, why am I not enough anymore? When did I become invisible to the man I gave everything to? She doesn't need you to fix everything. She needs you to see her again, to choose her, not just in your vows, but in the everyday, overlooked moments. Because, brother, her silence isn't just silence. It's a love story on life support. Brother, you felt the distance, but maybe you haven't fully understood what's living inside that silence. Let me tell you something that's hard to see unless someone shows you. She's not shutting you out because she wants to hurt you. She's shutting down because she's been hurting silently for a long time. And no, she didn't always tell you. Sometimes, she didn't even have the words. She just carried it like a ghost you never noticed sitting beside her at dinner. Emotional neglect isn't always cruel. It's often quiet, unintentional. It shows up in the moments you thought didn't matter. The unanswered "how was your day?" The glance you didn't return. The way you listened but not really. The touch that never came back. And over time, she started asking questions. Not to you, but to herself. Why do I feel invisible in my own home? Why does my voice sound like silence to the man I love? Who am I now, outside of being his everything? She became anxious, started overthinking everything she said or didn't say. She stopped depending on you, not out of strength, but out of survival. That's how hyper-independence is born, not from power, but from pain. And now what you see as cold is really her building walls where bridges once stood. What you feel as distance is actually the battlefield where she fought for closeness and lost. She's not your enemy, brother. She's your reflection of the connection that once existed and the emptiness that's grown in its place. Have you ever considered that the war between you wasn't about anger? but about her feeling unseen for too long. This isn't a blame game. This is a wake-up call. Because behind that silence is a woman still hoping, not for perfection, but for your presence. And maybe, just maybe, the moment you stop seeing her silence as a weapon, you'll finally start hearing it for what it really is, a cry, from the part of her that still believes you might come back to her emotionally. Brother, there's a moment in every woman's silence that doesn't come with fireworks. Just the quiet sound of something giving up inside. And maybe you didn't hear it, because it wasn't loud. It wasn't a fight. It was just a slow fading. She stopped waiting at the door when you came home late. She stopped asking if you were okay when you looked distant. She stopped expecting love in return, because she got tired of handing hers out like a gift, only to be met with indifference. What did I become a stranger in my own love story? Why do I feel like I'm begging to be loved by someone I already belong to? These weren't words she said out loud. These were thoughts that echoed in her chest, louder than any argument you two ever had. You see, she didn't walk away with her feet. She walked away with her spirit. And you felt that shift, didn't you? Suddenly the woman who used to light up when you touched her barely flinched. The one who used to dream with you started dreaming alone. It's not that she doesn't feel anymore. It's that she had to teach herself to stop hoping you would. Because hope, when it's unmet for too long, turns into grief. And that grief, it made her armor up, not to hurt you, but to protect the soft parts of her you no longer reached for. Have you ever cried without tears, hoping someone would just notice the change in your silence? That's what she's been doing. She laughs at dinner now, but it's hollow. She lays beside you, but her heart is miles away. And yet, brother, listen, there's still something alive in her. Something fragile, but waiting. She hasn't shut you out because she hates you. She's just trying to survive the love that stopped nurturing her. You still have a chance. Not to fix everything in one day, but to show up emotionally in ways you never knew she needed. Because healing doesn't start when she tells you she's hurting. It starts when you finally see the parts of her that have been hurting in silence for far too long. And maybe now, finally, you're starting to feel it. Not just her distance, but the silence echoing around you like an empty room that once held love. You thought she changed. But brother, have you ever stopped and asked yourself why? She didn't wake up cold. She grew cold in the shadow of your absence. You see, her silence isn't weakness. It's a graveyard of all the times she spoke and wasn't heard. All the soft cries wrapped in "I'm fine." All the broken dreams folded into late-night sighs. All the emotional nudges, the tiny, hopeful reaches, met with your scrolling thumb, your tired shrug, your silence in return. Was it emotional laziness? Or were you just never taught how to sit in the fire of another person's pain? Maybe you were raised to bottle things up. Maybe no one ever held space for your emotions either. And somewhere along the line, you mistook being present for just being around. But she wasn't starving for your body. She was starving for your soul. And when she needed you to lean in, you leaned out. Brother, there's a kind of damage that doesn't come from yelling or cheating. It comes from not showing up again and again until one day the person next to you starts grieving you while you're still alive. Have you ever looked in the mirror and not recognized the man staring back at you? Not because of age, but because of the way you disappeared from your own story. This is that moment. The mirror doesn't lie, and what it's reflecting now is the cost of your silence. But here's what most men miss. She didn't want you to be perfect. She just wanted you to care enough to try. And you still can. This moment right here, it's not just guilt, it's awakening. She's not your enemy. She's a woman who loved deeply and waited quietly, hoping you'd finally hear her without her having to break. And maybe this is where things start to shift. Not because she changed, but because you finally looked inward and asked, what kind of man have I been becoming? Brother, it's okay to want more. More connection, more truth, More love that doesn't feel like a battlefield. Love was never meant to sound like punishment. It should sound like presence. Quiet, safe, consistent presence. The kind where you don't just show up at the table. You bring your heart with you. Maybe for the first time, you're starting to understand. She's not broken. She's just tired. Tired of starving on crumbs of attention. Tired of being the only one trying to keep the soul of the marriage breathing. She didn't pull away because she stopped loving you. She pulled away because loving you started costing her pieces of herself. So now, brother, what will you do with that truth? This is not about blame. It's about courage. It takes courage to face the wreckage you didn't notice while it was happening. It takes courage to come back to the relationship, not to fix her, but to find yourself again. Because the truth is, you haven't just lost her. Somewhere along the line, you lost you too. And if you want her to trust your presence again, you have to relearn how to be emotionally present for yourself first. Start by being honest. Not perfect, just honest. Speak, not with grand promises, but with humble presence. Touch her soul, not with pressure, but with patience. Because maybe she's still listening, but only for a love that doesn't echo like an apology too late. So now, what do you do with all this? You don't beg to be heard anymore, because your voice was never meant to be buried under guilt or silence. You don't disappear just to keep the peace, because peace that costs your presence isn't peace. It's quiet pain in disguise. Say what hurts, even if your voice trembles. Say not to win, but to be seen, to be real again. Start the conversation you've been avoiding, not to fix the past, but to rescue the future. Because healing doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes it's in the quiet, I'm still here, and the humble, I want to do better. You may not know what to say. You may be scared she's already gone, emotionally or physically, but say something anyway, even if it's just, I finally see what I couldn't before. And if this silence sounds like yours, don't carry it alone anymore. You don't have to. If this speaks to your heart, share your experience in the comments. Let's build a place where silent pain finally finds a voice. No judgment here, only healing. Subscribe if you're tired of surface-level advice and sugar-coated truths. Here, we talk real. We talk raw. We talk about the kind of pain that most people are too afraid to touch, and the kind of healing that begins with truth. And if this feels like your story, even a piece of it, say it out loud. Say in the comments. Because the first step to being seen is letting yourself be known. You're not alone, brother. You never were.